Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report, made possible today by Manscaped. Smooth Sack Summer is here, and the leader in men's grooming technology is giving you 20% off and free shipping on all their top-of-the-line men's grooming products. Links in the comments and the description of today's show, which focuses on 5 blockbuster trade targets for the Cowboys before training camp. We're going to have some fun and pine after star players that probably aren't going to end up in Dallas, but have somewhat been linked in trade rumors. And hey, let's just have some fun on today's show. Now, we are going to give a shout out on a future video to whoever comments the most individual comments on today's show. The winner last time was Forvoken, 123 comments. If you want that shout out, comment right now. Flood the comment section. I will say, anyone who beats Forvoken's 123, we will give you a shout out. So think of that as your benchmark. Beat 123, and you will get a shout out on a future show. First up is Kyle Pitts. Yeah, everyone loves Kyle Pitts around here, these parts. Jerry Jones won in the draft because, first off, aside, of course, Jerry Jones, one of the guys that went number 3 overall. Every year that gets spun up into, wow, the Cowboys like this consensus top 5 player. Duh, of course they do. Now, Pitts missed time last year. His numbers weren't that good. His touchdowns have always been poor, and that's led to, I think, in part, the fantasy community going, he's not that good. He actually is really good. His quarterback play sucked last year. Marcus Mariota was not a good football player. I am sorry. He did not fare well at all. Pitts has been productive. He has been impactful. He has been a playmaker. I think he would thrive in Dallas. You put Kyle Pitts at tight end, the playmaking passing game for Dallas is among the best in the NFL once again. The complications here are you have 3 tight ends. Luke Schoonmaker, Jake Ferguson, Peyton Hendershot, plus Sean McEwen, the most similarly looking tight end room in America. I will say this, if you do somehow make a trade for Kyle Pitts, you're probably including one of those guys just from a numbers perspective because they're not going to play that much with Pitts being involved. But the big trade problem here is this. The Falcons want to win football games right now. They view themselves as a contender in a not very good NFC South. They believe that Kyle Pitts and wide receiver Drake London are going to be the core of their franchise, their playmakers, for the next 10 years even, or maybe it's more like 7, 8, 9 years, but whatever it is. They think he's going to be there for a long time. They want to give Desmond Ridder every chance to show he can be the guy this upcoming season. Trading away Pitts does not help them actually accomplish that. I think at minimum you would have to move a first-round pick to acquire Kyle Pitts in a trade. So would you trade a first-rounder, and maybe more than that's just a secondary tight end, to acquire Pitts? This is today's pinned comment, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, you can take advantage of it. Head down to that pinned comment, type in Y for yes, N for no. Quinnen Williams is next up. This is a player that I have pined after for years now. You can wind back the clock to, I think it was 2021 trade deadline or maybe even 2020 off-season of like, hey, I would love Quinnen Williams on this football team. He is one of the best young defensive tackles in the entire NFL. He is due for a massive contract extension because he's good at football. That is valuable. He had an all-pro caliber season last year. 55 tackles. The tackles for loss and the sacks doubled from 2021. The numbers had dipped from 2020 to 2021, but the efficiency was always really good. He just wasn't quite getting the same chances to finish high-quality opportunities. If you're taking just the best young defensive tackles in the NFL, Quenton shouldn't be ranked lower than 3rd. I think like a Jeffrey Simmons, and if we still count Chris Jones as young, I think that highly of Quenton. And I like Osa Odigizua. I am not out on him, but who here thinks Osa's going to become a 10-sack player? I don't know if that's a very realistic outcome. Maybe it's in the range of outcomes at like the very top percentile. But getting Quenton with Mozzie Smith, the one thing this team has missed is that impact 3 technique. Quinnen Williams is that to a T. The biggest problem beyond Dallas paying him, $20 to $25 million per year plus Micah, Diggs, etc., is the fact that the Jets, who are all in on trying to win a championship with Aaron Rodgers in the year or 2 that he has, trading away their single best player, not just defensive player, but their best player, because they don't want to pay him a new deal, would be astronomically stupid. So I would love him. I don't see any way in which he gets moved from the Jets right now, though. So name a player who you guys want to trade for. You don't even have to be realistic today since we're already in the blockbuster stage of this video. Name a player who you guys want to trade for. I bet we'll see some Quenton Nelsons in there because that's the younger Zach Martin, right? The next best guard in the NFL. The Colts are rebuilding. Nelson, frankly, didn't play that well last year. Could he be available? I'm not going to get my hopes up too much on that one. I do want to make a note here, by the way. Nelson didn't play that well last year relative to his own expectations. The 5 sacks he allowed actually exceeds the previous career combined for Nelson. He had 5 last year, 4 in the other previous seasons, 6 hits, 20 hurries, not that great of a run grade. I will make note, the Colts offense was a mess. Jeff Saturday was not a good coach at all. Frank Reich got fired. Matt Ryan couldn't move. So there were some extenuating circumstances, but Nelson did take a step back this past year, and that's a bit of a red flag given his $20-ish million contract. But imagine this offensive line. Tyron Smith gets to be your swing tackle since he's never healthy. Tyler Smith at left tackle, Quenton Nelson at left guard? Oh, man. That is an awesome, as far as dynamic can go for an offensive line, that's it, man. And the other issue, beyond Nelson being expensive, the big trade issue is Indy. All these players, the same issue. Why would they trade them, right? At least, well, not quite all of them. But the Colts have Anthony Richardson. He is their new franchise guy. I have yet to see a team say, you know what we should do to help our young quarterback be the best he can be? Let's trade away our best offensive lineman. Not going to get my hopes up there. Manscaped is sponsoring today's show. You guys know Manscaped, right? They've been around here for a while. There has been a pattern. Manscaped comes aboard. A few months later, my wife is pregnant. We have baby Olivia. I'm not saying the arrival of Manscaped directly led to baby Olivia, but I'm not saying it didn't hurt either. Get 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code COWBOYS over at manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com, promo code COWBOYS. Don't just get the Lawnmower 4.0, what I started with. Get the Performance Package 4.0, the most comfortable boxers known to mankind. I'm wearing mine right now because I got plans after work and I want to feel fresh and not, but it's swampy down there. Manscaped boxers help prevent that. Feel great. They look great, too, afterwards, if you know what I mean. Manscaped.com, promo code COWBOYS gets you 20% off and free shipping. That link's going to be in the comment section and in the description of today's show. It is Smooth Sack Summer, after all, so get on board or get left behind. Make sure you're using Manscaped's elite products. Let's talk safeties. Instead of Budda Baker, how about Kevin Byard, who I think is a rangy, dynamic, impact-free safety, could be an upgrade over Malik Hooker, who's drawn some interesting comments. Maybe we'll spend time on that on Sunday. He's had some interesting social media conversation. Kevin Byard's been really good in his time in the NFL. He's been impactful. He's been a playmaker. The Titans asked him for a pay cut. He said, no, I've had 9 interceptions my last 2 seasons. Why would I take a pay cut? That doesn't make any sense. Byard has been awesome over his time in Tennessee, often a good candidate for the most underrated, undervalued, whatever we want to call it, player in the NFL. High tackle numbers, great interception numbers, getting a bit older, but he is awesome. I will say I like what the Cowboys have at safety. I am not as low on Malik Hooker as others, but I would say Kevin Byard is better. And a trio of Jaron Kearse, Donovan Wilson, Kevin Byard, you can already argue it's the best safety trio in the NFL. If you, in theory, swap out Hooker for Byard, there is no argument. It is the best safety trio in the NFL. Now, the trade issue, right? Well, the Titans need Kevin Byard on defense. Mike Vrabel he's a crazy competitor guy. He ain't going to just be like, yeah, trade away our second best defensive player behind Jeffrey Simmons, and yeah, probably second best, and get back, a third-ish for him. There's also this part. Kevin Byard is due $14.1 million, which is actually what he makes per year. But that's a lot of money to pay a safety when the Cowboys probably want to retain Jaron Kearse next year. And they've just re-signed Donovan Wilson. So Kevin Byard at $14.1 million, if you could find a way to finagle that number down a little bit, maybe makes some more sense. But 14.1 is most of what Dallas has left in available cap space. Now, they can adjust it if they push it off in the future even. I'm not sure that's the route Dallas would choose to go, though. If you have not already subscribed and you're still watching today's show, what the hell are you waiting for? We're like 10 minutes in today, and you clearly like what we're doing. So sub. Free Cowboys videos every single day. The fifth trade idea, or trade target, excuse me. How about J.K. Dobbins? This is all speculation on my part, based on the fact that Dobbins skipped Ravens minicamp, said it was a business decision, code word for pay me, you guys, in an effort to get a new deal. We'll break down Dobbins more in depth here. But of the 5 guys, if you could trade for one of them, let's say it's whatever you give up, who would you rather trade for? P for Kyle Pitts, B for Kevin Byard, N for Quenton Nelson, W for Quinnen Williams, or D for J.K. Dobbins. Now, Dobbins has battled injuries 2 years in a row now. Missed all 2021, tried to rush back in 2022, wasn't healthy, got shut down. Did come back and played well, by the way. 5.7 yards per carry. I will make note, having Lamar Jackson and even Tyler Huntley to a certain extent, with the way those guys run and the Greg Roman offense in general, does lead a good running game. But Dobbins could be a fun fit alongside Tony Pollard. You can promise those guys, hey, we're not going to run you into the ground as you enter your contract years. We'll give you a good workload to prove your worth, but not going to force feed you 300 carries and get you injured. And you add J.K. Dobbins and Tony Pollard, it's a really good 1-2 punch. I don't like to play like a Josh Jacobs. Dobbins is not going to be super expensive this upcoming year. The problem here is he's the Ravens' best back. Now, if Dobbins says, trade me, I don't want to get franchise tagged, maybe that could make some more sense. And Dallas could say, okay, Dobbins, we promise not to franchise tag you. But the Ravens could say the exact same thing. So this would be Dobbins kind of forces his way out type of deal. Not going to get my hopes up there, but it'd be a fun Madden style deal. That's the whole point, right? Blockbuster trades, after all.